Today's not a sussy one. No. I don't know. The more that I'm so like sort of at a crossroads with all of that, because I don't know. I'm so at a crossroads with the idea of doing sus ASMR, because I'm fully now at a point where I'm prepared to admit to myself that the only reason that I did it in the first place was because I don't know how to say no to people, you know? And I enjoyed doing it, and I was good at it. Like, it was fun, and it was good for me too. But I would never have done it if it wasn't for my inability to, like, you know, set boundaries for myself, you know? It was like when Luxium first started, when we were all growing so fast, I just had this mindset of like, oh, I want to do everything, you know? And so whenever someone said, I like it when you do this, do that, I'd be like, cool, you know? And there were many times when I would do something and I was like, you know, kind of churned up my stomach a little bit, but, you know, it wasn't their fault. They were just, you know, asking, and I could have said no, but I never did. And so I wanted to keep like kind of pushing and doing more and more, because I was always worried that if I stopped, that people wouldn't be interested anymore. And then it sort of became a thing where it sort of became, really to me, it sort of felt like it was all that, like, you know, mentally I felt like it was all people watched me for, you know? I felt like it had become such a huge point for my reputation that I was like, well, I have to keep doing it now, you know? And I wanted to stand by, in a sense also, I wanted to stand by people who enjoyed it for like genuine, you know, nice reasons, you know? Because I think that's pretty much everyone, they enjoy it because it's just nice. I'm aware of like the fact that a lot of people have like been embraced sexuality a lot more openly because of content that I've made, because it was more accessible than other forms of sexual content, and that feels good to do for people. But I have to also be aware of the fact that, like, yeah, nowhere in this equation have I ever thought about me, you know? Nowhere have I ever thought about what it is that I've wanted to do. It's always just been you, and that's not your fault, not at all. It's my job as the person making the content to set those rules, you know, and to kind of do things that I feel comfortable doing. But I was always kind of the mindset, like, I need to live up to my own expectations, and in order to do that, if I slow down on giving people what they want for my own emotional reasons, then I'm kind of messing up, you know? And so it sort of kept going. But I think now, you know, I'm becoming much more aware of what it is I actually enjoy. And as I've kind of made those epiphanies, I think the idea of being overtly sexual on stream, at least on a public way and not like members where it feels more safe, I feel like since the start of the year, it's just been making me more and more uncomfortable over time. But then it's like sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But I guess I also have to be aware of the fact that, like, it's a side effect of being a people pleaser, that when people are pleased with you, you are happy, at least in like a temporary sense, you know? So it's weird. It's weird because I am scared, very scared to change, because I've been so successful before, but, you know, I know health and mentality and everything is so much more important. It feels like I just kind of got sucked down a rabbit hole, you know, and because no one had really done that much on YouTube before, at least not that I know of, you know, or at least not that I knew. And so, I don't know, I felt like I didn't really have anyone to kind of encourage me to stop, apart from like a lot of people who wanted me to set boundaries. I felt like in my mind got lumped in with people who were being critical of my direction with it, and people who were kind of giving me shit for it. And so I kind of almost felt like setting boundaries was like picking a side, and I didn't want to do that because I didn't want my fans to be upset, you know, because I do genuinely love you a lot. So it's really weird, and it's painful to try and figure out, because you're all excitedly, expectedly waiting for something else to happen when I don't know if that's what I want to do anymore, you know? I agree, but from my perspective, I'm always of the worry of what is the right side. What if I pick what I think is best at the time and then I'm wrong, you know? It's one of the reasons why, like, kind of early in my career, I was a massive fence sitter on stuff. And if I wanted to address an issue, I was like really, really careful with my words to not upset either of the two sides of the issue, you know, and it often got me into more trouble than it would have otherwise. But I think it's because it's like, I don't really consider myself all that much, you know, I just kind of consider what's best for this, you know. Because this, as a whole, has been very good for me. So I feel like I'll be happy if this is good, regardless of, you know, the personal sacrifices that I have to undergo as a result. Yeah, I guess it is just growth, you know. It is growth, and that happens fast when you're in a weird environment that you're not used to. I do try not to be pressured, and I want to make you aware that, like, when I've done sexual stuff on stream, it's always been like because at that moment I felt comfortable with it, but I feel like those moments are becoming fewer and farther between now, you know. But it really, I don't know, I just feel so sad about that though. Like, I kind of wish I could have kept being good at it, because there's nothing wrong with making sexual content, you know. Sometimes I wonder if maybe the only reason I'm upset with it is because I've kind of given into some of the negativity around it, you know. I've become a victim of it myself. I kind of don't want to believe that, but it's kind of impossible to ignore sometimes, you know. Yeah. I didn't mean to make it all deep. It's just, I don't know, the topic got brought up and I was like, well, you know, might as well give a little thought about it. The thing about being on this level as like a content creator is that Jesus Christ, like, people can be really vicious up at this level. I haven't met, personally, no one I've met has been this way, but I think it's like when you reach this level, it's kind of difficult not to feel like, you know, having a career on YouTube kind of feels like you're trying to hold onto a load of sand, you know? And every time you try and do something or move or try and protect it, it's like it just a little bit more just kind of seeps out. But it's also as though the sand-holding fan base is around you 24/7, and they're always like, "Oh shit, he's fucking up the technique. No, that sand, it's supposed to stay on the fingers in this way. Now, if he kept his fingers closed, it'd be a little bit different. Nah, man, this man fell off in sand falling." And so, even though I feel like I'm still pretty successful, we're all scared of, like, you know, not just maybe, you know, gracefully being able to sort of move on from this someday. I think more so it's the fear that you'll forever have a reputation of being someone who let something pass you by, you know. And I was always scared of that. And so when I had you know, the sexy ASMR that was like my thing and everyone wanted to see it, I didn't feel like I could stop, because there is a race, you know. It's a very competitive sector, and people can be really lovely and supportive, but people can also be very vicious, you know. And it's really scary. And the more that I think about it, the more that I'm always sort of touched by what Cillian Murphy has been saying, or like what is said of him anyway, of the fact that he is bothered by the fact that in order to be an actor who is successful, you must be famous, you know? He just cares for the craft of acting. All he wants to do is act, and yet because he's a celebrity and because he's very good at his job, he needs to be famous. And I think I'm very good at making content, but I don't think I'm very good at being famous. It really, you know, it's so deadly to your brain, and it changes you so much in way. Even if you think you're holding on to who you used to be, I feel like you change in ways that you could never have even thought to protect yourself from, you know? It's really scary.